It is October of 1962, and my 15-year-old grandfather, Jorge, and his family are making their way into the United States from Mexico. Despite what you may think, my grandfather is anything but afraid or nervous to be emigrating from his home of so many years. In fact, he is ecstatic and filled with hope for the future, as are his parents. They have seen firsthand the opportunities of the United States through a massive world changing event known as the Bracero Program. The Bracero program started as an agreement between the United States and Mexico in 1942 as a solution to the problem of food shortages during World War II, and ended in 1964 after a fight to preserve the program against Congress. It brought a storm of 4.6 million Mexicans into the country, one of which was my great grandfather. The experience was a trying one in the early years of the program, with a 30-cent hourly wage, inadequate shelter and sanitation, and racial injustices against most of the Mexican laborers. Suffice to say, my great grandfather had worked as hard as he could. My grandfather is accompanied by both his parents at the border. His older brother, Raul, is already in the country working the fields in California, which they hear is a land of opportunity, a place where your dreams were nothing short of realizable. His mother and father are naturalized citizens, as is Jorge, after a long but fulfilling process. Because of their experience with the Bracero program, they had also labored in agriculture a few years before and knew what the states were like. They finally make it through. My grandfather adores living in the United States. His family had settled themselves in a largely Hispanic community in Southern California, with many of its members hailing from their old homeland of Mexico. Many of them also speak Spanish, supporting my grandfather and his family, as well as giving them an opportunity to easily accustom themselves to living American lives. However, my grandfather struggles to adapt to a new education system. You see, his family are suffering through economic struggles and could afford to provide them with only two shirts, two pairs of pants, and a pair of old shoes. He attends school for 2 months before realizing that he would rather work in agriculture and earn a living with his father in Blythe, California, than to beg for more clothing. To this day, he is still slightly ashamed of his decision. So he worked in agriculture for 5 years. He went through life like any other hardworking American. He met my grandmother, had a family, and learned to love his country even more with each day, and came to know it as his home. He may miss Mexico, as it is where he learned to love in the first place, but it is here in the United States where he perfected it. There will always be things he misses, like the people always walking in the streets saying hello or good morning to each other, or the soothing constant din of the produce vendors calling out to passers-by. But he says he is an American, and is proud to be. I've gathered so much from this project. It's given me an opportunity to learn more about who I am and where I came from, as well as a newfound pride for my family and respect for hardworking immigrants everywhere. I'd also like to end with a quote. It's one that I think speaks to me on a deeper level. Evidence of assimilation is everywhere, if one bothers to look. And the place to look is not among the immigrants themselves, but among their children and grandchildren.